Hey, greetings everybody, Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. On the last episode, we kind of talked about some of the denizens that started populating and vying for power on Draenor. The forces of the Burning Crusade really overwhelming it as a sort of a staging ground. The outcast Sethek Arakoa, the evil, the Horde, the Alliance, the new, like, Burning Horde, or whatever you want to call them, the red-skinned orcs, and the Draenei hiding as well, and the Broken. So stay a while and listen to this one. It's called the Lich King, so I think we're going to jump over, and what we're doing is sort of building up, like, hey, by the way, this is what's happening. And we're going to read about this, I think, in our Arthas novel. When the Horde was defeated in the Second War, the Legion's plan to conquer Azeroth had fallen apart, but the demons were not deterred. To the contrary, Kil'jaeden had learned an extremely valuable lesson. The Horde had failed because of internal conflict and disloyalty. The Legion's next strike against Azeroth would not suffer from the same weaknesses. Kil'jaeden conceived of a dark, disturbing way to raise a new puppet army that would be utterly incapable of diverging from the Legion's will. All he needed was a powerful spirit, skilled in the art of wielding magic, to control it. The decimation of Draenor had given him exactly what he needed. During Draenor's destruction, Ner'zhul and his closest followers had escaped into the Twisting Nether. Kil'jaeden's minions had been waiting for them there, and we saw that in the epilogue of the novel. Ner'zhul suffered unimaginable torture at the Legion's hands. The orc's physical body was torn apart bit by bit, but his spirit was kept alive, intact, and utterly aware of what was happening. A group of dreadlords, Tychondrius, Balnazar, Deatharok, Mal'Ganis, and Varamathras, took turns subjecting Ner'zhul to the most horrific agony. I think all of those. I can remember quests in WoW with Tychondrius, Balnazar, Mal'Ganis. Varamathras sounds familiar. Deatharok's the only one I'm not sure. The orc soon begged for death. Kil'jaeden agreed to grant it to him, but only in return for absolute servitude as the Legion's new weapon. Death would be just the beginning. Ner'zhul, his sanity cracking, finally agreed. Kil'jaeden passed the orc's spirit through death and revived him as a spectral entity. The orc's consciousness expanded 1,000-fold, granting him extraordinary psychic powers. The dreadlords bound his disembodied spirit to a specially crafted set of armor and a mighty rune blade called Frostmourne. These items were locked in a diamond-hard block of ice to imprison Ner'zhul. I didn't realize that. All of these things, I didn't realize Ner'zhul is the original Lich King. I think that's key Warcraft 3, and that just shows my blind sight by never playing Warcraft 3. The armaments served a dual purpose. They kept Ner'zhul's spirit contained, and they were a tantalizing reward. Kil'jaeden promised his servant that if he proved his loyalty to the Legion, he would be allowed to roam free in a new body. His armor would mark him as a king, and he would rule Azeroth. However, if Ner'zhul disobeyed, his spirit would be tormented forevermore. Kil'jaeden had no desire and no need to make good his promise. However, the Demon Lord believed the lie would keep his servant more eager to serve than if he relied on threats alone to motivate him. Ner'zhul's loyal followers were also transformed. Their bodies were torn asunder and reshaped into powerful undead liches who would serve without question. Ner'zhul's past life had vanished. A new one arose in its place. This being was called the Lich King, and he woke into an existence of unending servitude and indescribable power. So I do know that, like, the expansion and a big part of the Warcraft 3 does involve the Lich King. I just assumed it was Arthas, but apparently it is Ner'zhul and all these things. And I do know there's something called the War of the Spider. That's a big lore beat. I think we'll cover it in Chronicles. There's no books about it. But I do think that's also a big thing that leads up to some of what's going on. So this is cool. This is really me fresh learning new stuff. So that's a pretty neat beat for me. All right, we got this episode in the pipe 5x5. I thank everybody so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Lore of Warcraft.